All right, guys. It's been a good long while, but somebody linked it. And, every once in a while, we do have to give a bit of credence to the linkers. Liberal teens versus conservative parents. Now that's some spicy meatballs. This was released today, actually. Look at that. December 26th, which is today. Thank you. Let's see. Where does it go? Does it go anywhere bad? Anywhere good? Who knows? Will Jubilee ever get back to me after postponing the debate that I was supposed to have a month ago? Who knows?
When you're young, you're not thinking, and everybody has made a bad choice. And because you're stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back. The more you throw stuff at kids before they develop, that's indoctrination.
Get stressed out. Change your gender. It's like it's a little panic response. Like you're like, you got a test tomorrow, and you're like, fuck, I'm a girl now. That's instantly, and you can't. That's it.
Ground. The intention was to uncover humanity and empathy shared among strangers with opposing beliefs.
Yeah.
Whether your political beliefs
I love
are on the
empathy
left or the
for
right,
people who I
we
disagree
all
with.
exist within our own echo chambers. So for this episode, we partnered with Ground News and created a test that can analyze your news sources and show you that
cancel culture is a good thing.
Who would? Oh, yeah, that's something that kids would agree with.
We have the freedom to say what you want, but
I'd say, that's something because to the kids, can't to them when they think cancel culture, they just think like being able to get mad at celebrities for being racist. Listen, it's something everyone agrees with. It's just optically a bad term.
But everyone else has the freedom to respond and cancel you if you say something that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. Cancel culture is definitely good in the means of deplatforming people who are spreading very hateful messages. It was something about like conservative parents and like left-wing kids. So they just hit me up and they had me go through like this casting process where they like asked me like a bunch of questions about like my belief system.
What is your opinion on Trump being cancelled on Twitter?
Wait, he wasn't canceled on Twitter. He had his account deleted. That's not, don't use cancellation as a synonym for other words that are more apt. Okay.
Go onto Twitter, whatever, you check I accept the, guidelines, the community guidelines, I agree to follow them, and he didn't follow them, so Twitter has the right to take him off the app.
Hey, Vaush Pit.
That might make the counter argument that Twitter is biased and will only cancel right-wing politicians. That's not true at all. Twitter and other forms of social media have canceled left-wing activists. There is an equal balance on both sides.
Those kids are bopping. They're probably not just like random teens. They probably do like political shit or whatever. But like, okay. I just remember being in high school and like everyone, when I was in high school, man, everyone was dumb as shit. We didn't talk about politics back in like 2010, 2011, whatever. I don't remember talking about politics.
You brought up canceling him off Twitter. I'm sorry, I disagree.
Holy shit. Okay, sorry. In case you guys couldn't tell, this guy's a conservative parent. In case his skull shape didn't immediately provide that information to you, in case everything about him. Christ, he's like a casting director running out to find the most conservative parent they could find.
The Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't. There is something wrong with that.
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines?
The white Zoomer is literally a fan of yours? How do you know that?
It doesn't matter.
I think it matters to Twitter what their community guidelines are. That's why they banned Trump, because Trump violated community guidelines. That's what every platform has, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
The Taliban stones people because they're gay.
If they've
Not on
done
Twitter.
that and they've posted videos of stoning gay people, I agree, they should be removed, and that is fundamentally wrong. No,
Except
it's not.
the problem is they're smart enough to not do that.
Ah, well, that's where Trump failed, huh? Trump shouldn't have posted that video of him stoning a gay kid to death. Well, there you go.
Well,
then why wasn't Trump
then the
smart enough to
president
not do
wasn't
that?
smart enough to not do that, I guess.
If I'm an American and I have to vote between this person, I need equal access to both of them to decide what's right. Bro, you could be a Klansman, you could say you hate black people. That's not my job to police your language. I can't expect everybody.
Well, it is Twitter's job. because they have a TOS. That's so again, we're not talking about cancel culture. As always, as is always the case, whenever people want to talk about cancel culture or free speech, we're talking about Twitter TOS. I have never even read the Twitter TOS, but I've had 20 conversations about it. I can't stop finding conversations about it. They're everywhere. You know, it's like everything. You know, you want to talk about cancel culture? Oh, let's talk about Twitter fucking TOS. You want to talk about like Trump's presidency and big tech bias? Oh, let's talk about Twitter TOS. Oh, you want to talk about freedom of speech? Oh, let's talk about Twitter TOS. Everything is fucking Twitter TOS. I don't care.
Everybody to love me and think the way I think. All y'all think different. I mean, that's totally dope. But the fact that you want somebody removed because they think differently, that could be you one day.
Do you think freedom of speech is something that still exists in America?
We do have aspects of freedom of speech. Like you can't go into
What? The First Amendment has fallen.
a movie theater and yell fire. So obviously there are limits of freedom of speech.
But they're picking and choosing who they're silencing and who they're letting talk.
Who's the Twitter? Who's they? I'm gonna
Negatively to what you say. It goes both ways. You can't just say that, oh, they
100%.
can't. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
America is becoming less and less safe.
Okay. By every objective metric, it is becoming safer with regards to violent crime. That is inarguable. It is absolutely inarguable that America is safer with regards to that. You could argue that the political climate is less safe, which I would agree with, but I hope that gets distinguished. I know they would, yeah.
I'll leave this to you guys.
So I have a lot of friends that have been in the military for the last 20 years because they refuse to get vaccinated.
Forcing soldiers to get vaccinated during a plague is making America more safe. That increases the safety. Kicking people out when they compromise readiness by not getting vaccinated, in addition to the 19 other vaccinations our armed forces service members are forced to take, is pro-safety.
They told me that they would be dishonorably just discharged or kicked out of the military.
Good.
I just believe we're losing a lot of good servicemen with the current situation that we're in
Bad.
right now.
A lot of police officers are down. Crime is up all over. When police
Nope. When New York, the police union, had their big strike where tens of thousands of people said they were going to leave, only a handful did. More New York City police officers have died to COVID than refused to get the vaccine themselves and got fired for it. Barely anyone left. How many cops have died to COVID? America unsafe. I fucking hate conservatives. Every breath I take that is not dedicated to my seething hatred of American conservatism is a breath wasted. Every second I spend pretending that I think that they're like worthy of the same moral consideration as non-conservatives is a moment expelled dishonestly. I hate them so much. It's literally like somebody fucking knocked their brains open and rewired their switches to like everything bad and hate everything good. Everything that's up is down. Everything that's left is right. Everything that's good is bad. And everything that's true is false. It's like they're so mixed up. They're so incredibly fucking mixed up. Holy shit. Have you guys ever watched like Vice documentaries where they talk to like Mexican drug cartel dudes or like terrorists out in the Middle East or like fucking, you know, like militia groups in like North Africa or some shit? And you watch that, and legitimately sometimes when I watch these insurgents or these fucked people talk about their worldviews, I legitimately think they're more coherent than your average American conservatism. That's not a joke. I'm not joking when I say that. I've seen videos of Taliban members explaining what they believe, and even though they are more reprehensible and destructive than the average American conservatism, I actually think they're more coherent in their beliefs than the average conservative is. Not much saving grace, but like, Jesus, fuck. It's insane. Like, it's like a joke. 5 times many police officers died from COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. Nearly 4 times many police officers have died from COVID-19 as gun. Yeah. It's just okay.
aren't there, we're murdering each other at a really high rate. Police are in those neighborhoods because the homicide rate is high. Y'all can run around talking.
We did see a significant uptick in the homicide rate for 2020, probably because of the unprecedented civil unrest and also COVID-19. It's noted as a remarkable increase not for its total value, but rather for its percentage value. the general trend, excluding the extraordinary pandemic, has been downward since the 1990s.
Talk about police all you want, but I challenge any of these liberal kids to spend 2 weeks in the environment I grew up in, and I promise your perspective will change.
The one advantage we have about being older, we've been through a threat or two. And our enemies, you know, like China, the Communist Party.
Every fucking black conservative, by the way. Hey, listen, you may have some good ideas that make sense and have data, but grow up in my neighborhood where I had a shit upbringing somehow, even though that's not something you can do, and you'll understand that actually wokeness is bad, Twitter is 1984, and fiscal conservatism is how to save the black community.
In China, they're laughing at us. You know, Russia's like, we don't need to do much. They're gonna screw it up on their own.
You can't be a conservative and complain about Russia. You guys are in bed.
People that haven't been through a threat before to realize a lot of what's going on is not good.
What does that have to do with the world being safe?
My name is Mike. I'm 59 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. You know, growing up during the 1980s.
Holy shit, this guy's my dad.
That was a huge influence on me, and it formed my views and the people that I was around is the reason why I'm a conservative parent. I think America should be more middle of the road and not be necessarily more liberal. And if
I like that though. I do like you show the guy and he's like, well, how factual are his sources? And it's like, he knows some things that are true.
If anything, it should be a hint more on the conservative side, because we're going to watch our freedoms get extinguished or encroached if we don't guard those freedoms and make sure.
I'm gonna speed it up very slightly because I'm hungry.
That all of our children have a chance to succeed.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I actually wished I came up here for the agreeing section because I think I interpreted the definition of safety the same way that you guys did, but after hearing your guys' conversation, I started thinking about how our American people aren't safe in the face of imminent climate disasters that are coming our way, and how we don't have the infrastructure to deal with that.
I actually very much agree with that, because I think we need to define what we mean by we're less safe now. Do we mean there's more homicides after COVID? Or
dude, they're on it, man. They're on it like fucking butter on toast. Jesus.
What do we mean?
I something's gonna happen with these. At one point, one of the boomers is gonna mention China, and one of them, the one of them is gonna be like fucking. And anyway, China is the vanguard of socialist thought, or something like that. We'll see.
Say, before we got rid of half our military, half our police force, slavery was legal.
What? Before we got rid of half our military and half our police? Where? What? This is what I mean. They are literally not in reality at all. If you push this guy on, I bet he legitimately believes that we fired, dishonorably discharged half the military. The
Holocaust was legal, so we can look at all of these mass atrocities and say we're doing what's right.
What?
Everybody who was a part of the Holocaust government, they were doing what Hitler said. They were doing.
This is my face too. Yeah. No, kid, me too. Yeah.
Say we're doing what's right. Everybody who was a part of the Holocaust government, they were doing what Hitler said. They were doing what was right. So everybody losing their job for not getting vaxxed, and all the vax people, you got who can we control? Everybody who get the shot, that's who's gonna do what we say. The enemy.
Okay, so he's comparing jobs requiring the vaccine to both slavery and the Holocaust. Okay, gotcha.
These are coming, and we don't care about that because we want to care about what color we should wear and pride and critical race theory. It's no one else cares about that but us in America. What? That's our problem.
So you think
what the fuck is he saying? What?
That talking about sexual orientation and all that kind of stuff takes away from the safety of our country?
Who you sleep with has no merit in the real world. What does it matter?
Okay, let's just broaden the scope. With the coronavirus pandemic.
Wait, hold on. I completely agree. So why do we have to keep fighting against homophobia, transphobia, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah, sure, okay. So you don't think it matters? Sure, okay, agreed. Then full laissez-faire then. Let's go for it. Yeah, if you don't think it matters, then don't stand in our way. The only reason this is ever a talking point is because of reactionaries. Keep that in mind, okay? People talk about, the gay marriage stuff, it's all culture war nonsense. It's only culture war nonsense when conservatives deal with it, okay? Because For a gay person, the right to marry. For a trans person, the right to use the bathrooms they choose to. That's not a culture war narrative. That's their life. That matters to them directly. It's a culture war narrative to conservatives because they're throwing it up as a meaningless distraction from their indefensible economic and political positions. You know, let's not talk about the fact that you will never, ever, ever make life better for the middle class. Let's talk about the incredible existential threat of trans women in women's bathrooms, you know. For them, it's culture war. For us, the gays, it's not.
Why did it take weeks for us as a country to mobilize together to fight the public health crisis that was already affecting the nation?
It was a scam to get Donald Trump out of office. It's all fake. It's my opinion.
I agree with you.
I don't think that we could create.
Wait, this is all fake? I want to see the black dude's his like the trust of his media sources.
Or the Democrats could create some international plan, getting all of these scientific communities outside of just the US and even international governments on their side for something that they're just trying to get Trump out of office. I feel like that's heavily ridiculous.
Trump was the thorn and nobody saw coming. And they had to find a way to get him out of here. If there's no mail-in voting, 100% Trump is the president right now, 100%.
Yeah, because overwhelming.
What does mail-in voting have to do? So they manufactured the global pandemic to do mail-in voting so that they could... Yeah, again, as another black person, we don't claim him. One of the reasons there are so few black people that vote Republican, and I might be being a bit presumptuous here, but I feel like if that guy went to like... I feel like in most families, that guy would get fucking walloped. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm being presumptuous. I feel like if you're white, a lot of family get-togethers, you could say shit like this, and people would just sort of like pass you the, you know, the flan. You know, they'd pass you the turkey suspended in a giant plate of gelatin. But I feel like that guy would just get just absolutely fucking whooped in a ton of, yeah, in a lot of settings.
Mail-in ballots were to Biden, and that's obvious. Like,
exactly.
It's not because mail-in ballots are fraudulent, because mail-in ballots are actually not fraudulent at all. That this election was the safest election in recorded history.
There's a lot of videos, so you see people with fake ballots, so that's here and there. I'm not.
That's just hearsay from random people on TikTok. Are we really gonna like take that as like empirical evidence?
It's a personal opinion.
Good form from this kid. I think you all should have spat in his face. Slight critique. If you had, I don't know if there was like a hard object nearby, you could have thrown it. Good though.
My name is Parker, I'm 19, and I'm a liberal. My sisters and I have become a lot more liberal, a lot more left-leaning over time while my parents have stayed a bit conservative. Before, when I was a conservative, I kind of just went off a lot of the indoctrination and propaganda that was spread to me when I was a kid. I grew up on the fact that, oh, we shouldn't have increased taxes because taxes are just negatively affecting us. Personal responsibility isn't what a lot of the decisions people make in society is based on. It's mainly based upon their environments, how they're socialized by their parents, people around them, things like that.
My news source is more reliable than the other sides.
Oh, well, naturally, everyone...
When I look at conservative news, I see a lot of conspiracies that I don't necessarily agree with. And so if everything comes
The black guy was literally just like COVID was done to get Trump out of office. They did a global plague so they could implement mail-in voting so they could get him out of office.
People developing their own ideas, it just doesn't seem reliable to me.
I feel like the only way we can get unbiased news is in order for news media organizations to stop prioritizing having really vivid headlines that might not necessarily be 100% accurate.
I think that starts with putting people over profit. They want the biggest story or whatever, and they don't want to actually give the news that would be beneficial to our everyday average Americans. And I think that if we put a lot more focus on putting people first instead of the big news or the big story, we can change that aspect of society.
I agree with you 100%. Like I say the civil rights movement is the civil rights entertainment industry because it's so profitable. Put a police shooting on TV, it's breaking news, every headline, it's on every social media, you're selling shirts, you're selling signs. That's so much more profitable than showing me and you shaking hands. The news media.
Why would they have a news article on you shaking hands? Why would they do that? What?
It is literally capitalizing off the emotions of society. No matter how you feel about it, handle it in your privacy of your house. Why? Because if you can do it on camera, somebody's gonna make $1 off of it, and that's not fair to you.
Young.
What? Well, here we have the boomer gimme.
People today are too sensitive.
Yeah. Me and the boys coming to beat you to death.
So
Yeah,
I think it's
talk about the
good thing
kids.
that young people are sensitive. I think today they can be more sensitive than what they probably could have been 30 or 40 years ago. You know, the growing up was the Berlin crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, we had the threat of annihilation, you know, staring at us several times. And a lot of times I go, you know, thank God John Kennedy handled it.
The country has been...
Wait, what is that? What? Yeah, first of all, we have climate change. What does Cold War paranoia have to do? Never mind.
Spoiled for so long. They're trying to make it so a man can't be a man. And if you don't let men be men, then things start...
Overwhelming urge to be incredibly offensive to the appearance of this man. This very strong desire. Do it? Okay, fine. He looks like Boss Baby. He looks like Boss Baby. His skin is as smooth as the cheek of a newborn infant. His eyes are in the wrong place, and they're also Disney eyes. His body looks like it's fighting off a tidal wave of estrogen and losing. Okay, but go off.
Start crumbling. Society crumbles, families crumble, and broken homes start happening.
And kids need their fathers. So 36% of kids don't have a father. So every boy is, well, my mom is mad at me, my dad don't love me, my dad don't care about me. Maybe I should be gay, maybe I should be trans, I don't know.
It doesn't work that way. I do appreciate that, like, you know, trans people are only the vanguard of the broader opposition to, you know, sexual and gender minorities. So this guy being upfront and being like, yeah, people are gay because of trauma, and repeating like 50-year-old, 100-year-old homophobic tropes. You know, I appreciate the being upfront.
Know who I am, and your father puts confidence in you. No disrespect to anybody, but the younger generation of men are soft. And if we had to go to war, they're not protecting America. There's no better place to be as a black individual or whatever you are in America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you.
Serious question. Why do they ever bring this argument up when they're the anti-gay, anti-trans people? They're like, yeah, things are good over here, unlike those homophobic and transphobic Taliban insurgents. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, let's see this guy's stats. What if he just beats us the fuck out? What if it's just straight reliable across the board?
Johnny, I'm 32 years old, and I am a conservative parent. My grandfather was a no-excuse individual. He grew up in the Jim Crow South, but he worked hard. The house that he bought is still in our family today. He had a garden in his backyard. If you step past,
they're waiting to drop it at the end.
So to watch the men before.
Ah, damn it! No red. That's a lot of mix, though. Isn't this actually like the same, like, rate proportion of mixed to good? No, I was 100% mixed. Okay, so he's marginally better than me trying to get the worst possible answers. You know. This is impressive, though. His bias score is insane, you know? I was only 60% left with my bias score, and even me trying to choose the wrong answers gave me 67%. This guy's huffing a lot. Oh, this guy's huffing a lot of conservative news media.
For me, who really could have been lynched for stepping out of line, who really could have went through a hardship for not doing what society said, the worst thing that can happen to me is I get a mean tweet or a dislike. So I gotta fully embrace who I am, and I know I can create anything with my two hands.
Genuine question, not being racist here. Do you think this guy's representative of the Black American demographic that voted for Biden? What? How could this guy be representative of any demographic that voted for Biden when he is the least Biden voting human in all? No, he might be representative of Republican Black people. You know, I will admit that, you know, in my time online and in real life, Trump supporting, or I guess just broadly, like, very conservative, like politically conservative Black people have almost to a man been morally reprehensible. I think you have to overcome more obstacles to be a Black conservative. You know what I mean? Because a lot of white conservatives just grow up in, like, you know, mostly white, like rural or suburban areas. And they just kind of have it like drip fed. But like to grow up in the projects and move through all that, like experience, what a lot of Black Americans experience, and then at the end of that be a Republican. I think it's like much more difficult. You need to be way, way, way more. Yeah, it's basically just there's a more strenuous selection process for Black conservatives than there are for white conservatives. So the ones that emerge out the other side, on the Black side of things, are going to be more refined conservatives. By which I mean worse people, of course.
I'm Hannah, I'm 17, and I'm a liberal. I really want equality for all, and the liberal policies that have been passed side more with my values of equality for those who are on the LGBTQ, those who are on the gender spectrum. Something about conservative parents that I don't like.
Shit! Dabbing on us! Oh my god! Whole fucking brain lord over here. Jesus Christ! Fucking, who's the guy with the big head? Is it Mordak? Is what's the guy's Mordock? What's his name? Come on, guys. Modoc. Yeah, okay. There we go. Fucking brain lord over here, okay? You've got a political take. You've got, let's say you're pretty confident in your sources, and then all of a sudden this bitch shows up. Fucking annihilates you with her galaxy beam. Ain't that a villain? I mean, look at it. Yeah? All right, whatever.
Whenever I come across them, they seem to be very rooted in their ways and not willing to listen to someone who's a teenager like me. They think more like, oh, because I'm older, I have more knowledge, which is not necessarily always the case.
Can we have the disagreeer step forward?
This idea that because men are being raised by women that they're weaker is, in my opinion, completely false.
Bad take to get in on, okay? Good point, bad way of entering, okay? The issue isn't being raised by women, it's that they can transpose being raised by women with being raised by a single parent, okay? So you can open with, I agree we need two-parent households, but I don't think it's the absence of the father. I just think that our economy is unfair, and it makes it difficult to raise children off of a single income with a single, 24-hour day. But by opening with, you can be raised by women, then it's like, well, clearly, single mothers aren't doing that great. It's like, well, why are you defending single mothers? That kind of thing.
Generation, it's not more sensitive. We're more aware of all these things. Being transgender and gay is not something that should be ashamed of or make you feel less in today's society. That is why women are fighting for equality, because this idea that because they only have a mom, they're weaker, or because, they're more sensitive, that's, in my opinion, completely false.
And I would say in the environment that I grew up in, the teen pregnancies come from girls without fathers. The homicides come from people without fathers. Every girl that I know, if they grow up with a daddy, they get married before they have a kid.
Exactly. This is exactly what I mean right here. So, and this is real, by the way. Yes, being raised by a single parent is indicative of higher rates of a bunch of negative stuff. See, so what he's saying right now is because of single parent households, which correlate to a bunch of things: income inequality, poor social and poor academic acclamation, stuff like that. But it's not the lack of a father, it's the lack of two parents. So yeah, correlation, causation.
Why do they not have fathers?
If you want me to be real, because a lot of women make bad choices on the men.
Dude, it's not, this guy's all like individual responsibility, but when a guy dips on a family, he's like, oh yeah, it's the woman's fault. Dude, what a fucking, Jesus Christ. Yeah, individual responsibility. Well, why are the fathers go? Well, the woman should have slept with better men. What are you talking about?
And they procreate with it. If you make a bad choice, that's your responsibility. Every bad thing that I did in my life, it was when my daddy was in jail.
There we go. All right, there we go. Gotcha. Hyperbolic denunciation that he uses to overcompensate for his past. You can read these people like books. No thoughts, no politics, literally just, I did it, I got over it, now I'm gonna, burn the bridge behind me.
My dad was out and I had my dad's reassurance, I was a better person.
I had one daughter
That's
that
it?
had to
That's
move
all
across
you
the
needed?
country to get rid of a toxic relationship with somebody that was harming them.
Why does the woman have to move across the country because the man is being toxic? Why can't the man be taught, don't be toxic?
Oh, I agree.
Women nowadays have to deal with those kinds of relationships.
Credit to the boomer there for just agreeing, like, you know, because it's an indefensible point if he wasn't going to.
The mother knows better, I would say, than the father about that.
We're not more sensitive, there's just more opportunities for us to be sensitive. You can say like 15, 20 years ago, there weren't videos of black men being shot by police all over the internet. Now that that's there, people...
I hate this guy. I love his body language, though, because you can tell that he does not give a fuck about what this kid is saying. When he starts nodding, he's just trying to hurry him along. It's so evident that he does not care and is not listening.
Oh, there weren't videos of black men being shot by police
Look at that.
all over the internet. Now that that's there, people are more inclined to feel a certain way or take a stance on that topic.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to show police also interacting with white guys? Because more white guys get killed than black guys by cops.
If you look at the amount of white people and the amount of black people, there are going to be more white people killed because there are more white people in America. The percentage of black people that are being killed is higher than the percentage of white people.
Well, just because you're pulled over doesn't mean you have to resist. I mean, they don't just...
What? Non sequitur. Good answer from her, though.
Kill you when they pull you over. It's all about based on how you perform as an individual. I've been pulled over and never had a bad interaction in my life. When I was rude, I got snatched out the car. Everything is a personal choice, and you can't take account.
Wait, what? You've never had a bad interaction in your life, but you were rude and they ripped you out of the car?
For your life, and you will forever be a slave.
That's not true. There are definitely issues on the side of policing. Black communities, majority POC communities are over-policed. There's larger patrols in black communities. There are police work longer hours in majority black communities. So there's an issue from the policing side.
Now, oh, wait, keep his response in here, because you know he's going to say some shit like, well, maybe black people shouldn't be such thugs. You know he's going to say some shit like that.
As well.
Politics has damaged my relationship with a loved one.
Oh.
I'm sure you can relate to this as well, but in the Asian community, there's a lot of anti-blackness. So with the advent of the Black Lives Matter movement this past year, having conversations with my parents was really difficult, especially around the nuances of racial justice and sort of like what the movement was fighting for and how to articulate that in like the very closed mindset that my parents had.
A lot of my family voted for Trump in the past election, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't like to say this, but it made me view their morals a little bit differently, and they're willing to adapt and change was so different, and I was just like shocked because I wanted to understand their side and really talk about it, and I was met with, you're wrong, and we don't want to talk about it, and that kind of really damaged just kind of the way I looked at them.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I also think that it just made me less willing to expend the energy to have political or just like any like hard conversations with my parents or anyone else in my family.
It's important to remember, and I'll paint a broad brush here because I'm right, and I'm always right. And it's important to remember, conservative parents overwhelmingly will not have conversations with you about politics. They will tell you their political views and then expect you to adopt them. Now, that's pretty common with parents across the board, but I think it's borderline ubiquitous with conservative parents. They do not want to talk with you about it because they don't consider you a rational agent capable of or worthy of meaningfully challenging their perspective. They have a mandate, you know, and that's that, really. So I think, you know, in that respect, it can be really difficult to navigate around that. You know, I'm lucky I've had pretty left-leaning parents, and my conservative extended family doesn't know what my job is. So that makes things a bit easier, you know. But yeah, it's definitely an issue.
My name is Rithwick, I'm 18 years old, and I'm a liberal. I grew up in a low-income immigrant household, and I think the systems that are in place right now aren't sufficient enough to support people, Americans like myself or my family. Because my parents were immigrants, I think...
Oh, 75% left. This guy's fucking rolling it.
They were liberal on issues like immigration and things that directly affected them. I'd like to ask to the conservative parents why they don't necessarily listen or adopt their own beliefs, whether political or social, based on the conversations they have with their children and why they're so set in their ways.
Oh, because to conservatives, politics is like religion. It's something that you pass down from generation to generation. It's not an ongoing conversation. It's just something that you have to accept like dogma. But mixed factuality. I don't know how much stake I put in the system they have for assessing the factualness of news sources, because I feel like accepting the Daily Wire and Breitbart as things you frequently consume should immediately put you in the low category, void your score, and hack your computer. I think immediately viruses should just be expelled to shut down your computer. You know, it should go to 0, and it should automatically send emails to your loved ones. You know, with incriminating deepfakes of you, you know, robbing a bank. And you know, listing it alongside sort of a grievous list of imaginary crimes.
You know, I read a lot of the tragic stories where family members don't talk to each other anymore. Personally, I think that's sad. Do all my family members vote the same? No. Do we have a pretty good idea of how family members may have voted? Yeah. But we went more of agree to disagree. I'm not going to not buy you a present for Christmas because, you know, you decided to vote for somebody that I don't like. Give me a break. Families are special. And we've got too many people, as you've talked about, that don't have them.
When I took this prompt, I kind of took it more of like...
Nah, fuck them. Families are what you make them. If you're like trans and your family thinks you're faking it or whatever, they can eat shit, you know. For a lot of trans people I know, or just, I guess, queer people in general, you know, it's like tolerating your family is just a matter of biding time until you can, you know, escape and go build a family of your own. Your found family, chosen family, whatever, you know? So yeah, fuck that. No, I don't care. If you get treated by shit, whether it's by a friend, a family member, or by the bitch at the DMV, you have a right to physically assault them in all instances. Don't do that. DMV workers get a lot of shit as it is already. Don't hurt other people either.
Like, my view of the person changed differently because, not because of the way they voted, but because some of their values to me were, like you said, moral values, and that shows kind of part of their character.
Would you say that morality is subjective to each individual person, though? Or would you say morals are the same across the board?
The basic is human equality for all. And so if you don't believe that somebody should have an equality based on their gender, their sexual orientation, or their race, or anything like that, that's a moral problem in my eyes.
That's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and all that whole thing. So I grew up LDS, being Utah County, it's like 95%.
Yep, there we go. God, he looks like a Mormon though, doesn't he? He does. He does look like a Mormon. Fuck, I could have called that. Fuck, I can't believe I didn't mention that before. He looks exactly like a Mormon. I can't believe I didn't fucking mention that.
Mormon at 8 years old is when you get baptized. And so if you're raised around where 95% of people think the exact same way, I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing. And so where I have a problem with, you know, the trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old.
Wait. He's using his experience with growing up in an overwhelmingly Mormon community to say that it's bad to surround people with political influences when they have no say in it themselves. But he's not applying that standard to that, and instead talking about trans people.
Old, and they're pushing them down that path. They're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old, and they're pushing them down that path.
This is, by the way, still completely fucking made up. Just to be clear, conservatives will not shut the fuck up about it, and it is completely fucking made up. The idea that there is an epidemic of woke parents forcing their children to be trans is legitimate. Like, you might as well be talking about the fucking Babadook, or about like the Stairway game, or about the Chupacabra. Like, literally, like you just completely I could name like anything that happens in the real world, no matter how infrequently, and it would be more of a systemic problem than this issue. Maybe it's happened once, I don't know, possibly. There are a lot of people on Earth, but we're talking like getting hit by lightning is orders of magnitude, I mean exponentially, more of a problem than this. Shark attacks are exponentially more of a problem than this. It's nothing. This is absolutely nothing, okay? This is, like, imagine this Mormon fuck, okay? This pasty fucking corn blue collar shit fuck, okay? Leaning forward, all right? With the light shadowing his eyes, you know? And he's like, listen, we have to do something about the Slender Man. Liberals don't want to talk about it, but more and more children are finding series of notes pinned to trees and old, dilapidated community buildings in the forest before being forced to make a dated reference.
Who's they?
Who's they?
Who's indoctrinating these kids into becoming LGBTQ and etc.?
There's a lot of groups out there.
Like?
I've just heard that there's groups out there. I don't know. You don't think there's groups out there that do that?
Thank you. Dilapidated. Why are people in chat of a building or object in a state of disrepair or ruin as the result of age or neglect? I said dilapidated? Yeah, it was to keep you on your toes, you bitch.
Who's indoctrinating these kids into becoming LGBTQ and etc.?
There's a lot of groups out there.
Really?
I've just heard that there's groups out there. I don't know. You don't think there's groups out there that do that?
No.
I'm assuming you're a straight man.
He's killing it. This kid is killing it. Jesus fuck. Holy shit. Who's doing this? I don't. Groups are doing this. Which groups? I don't know. You don't think there are groups? No. End of conversation. Fuck. God. Wish I could do my Jubilee thing. God damn it.
Man, so I think it's weird for you to comment on the queer experience and what that's like for someone growing up.
He has a great TikTok. What is the TikTok? What is his TikTok? What is his TikTok? Parker's latest TikTok. Oh wait, this is the TikTok?
This is weird.
Wait, I know this person. Oh yeah, I recognize that hair. This is the kid. Hassan reacted to my appearance in Jubilee. Oh, now we're giving him content for his. Or do you think he wouldn't post me reacting to it because I'm more of an optics landmine? Good job, kid. Good job. Bet you were nervous as shit coming to the studio. Good job. You should be proud.
Who's struggling with those experiences. The way you're describing it as indoctrination, people who are figuring out their sexualities and their queer identities aren't necessarily going to ascribe to the first labels that are put before them.
If I'm not mistaken, the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 years old, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So I know how I used to think at 16.
Oh, no.
Man. I know how I used to think at 21.
Oh no.
Man, I'm not against kids doing whatever they want. It's just the older you get, you change. I got my first tattoo at 15. I'm covered now. If I was a little older, I probably would have waited. When you're young, you're not thinking.
Did you know you were a guy at 16? What? Were you confident? Is it people say this about gay shit too? I knew that I liked big titty bitches when I was like 7 years old. Okay? I vividly remember being like 7 or something and going to the theater and seeing some trailer before I have no idea what movie. That's lost to time. But I distinctly remember a unduly prominent amount of cleavage on one of the ladies in one of the advertisements beforehand. And I was sitting there thinking, those some squishy ass boobs. I want to squish them, you know? Yeah, the deep lore. Okay. Now I was very confident of this. Okay. It took me till I was like 15 to figure out that I like dick. So I took a bit of time on that. But I bet you, if it weren't for, compulsive heteronormality, I probably would have figured that one out pretty early too. Then again, genitalia and titties are different. I feel like titties are just kind of naturally wonderful, but genitalia are kind of imposing and scary when you're really young, it's a whole other ballpark, it's a whole different thing. Also, genitalia are just made different from the rest of our bodies. The rest of the human body, relatively speaking, is kind of sleek a little bit, you know what I mean? And then we have dicks and pussies, and it's just like just a totally other type of thing, you know what I mean? But everyone likes titties, big fat titties.
And everybody has made a bad choice. And because you stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back. The more you throw stuff at kids before they develop, that's indoctrination because you're trying to get them while they're not fully cognizant to know what's going on.
So you've never shared your political values with your kids? So what, you wait till you're 25 to have any opinion with your kid? Shut the fuck up. This is a standard they only apply to LGBT stuff. It's indoctrination to share this with your kids before their brains are fully developed. And then like this guy's kid is like fucking 4 years old, you know, wearing like a MAGA hat. Yeah, fuck you.
The older you get, the more conservative you become.
Conservative. Of course they'd say that. Yeah.
When I got older and I had kids and I had a family, I actually started reading policies. Everything about me changed when I became a father because I had a reason to. And I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah. As I've gotten older and the environment we're in right now, I feel like they're trying to cancel the Constitution. They're trying
to... We still talking about Twitter, TOS?
They cancel Christianity.
I mean, most teenagers are liberal. I was liberal.
Wait, you're a Mormon. You're not even part of the hegemonic Christian. Wait, no. You're a Mormon. You can't bitch about people canceling Christianity. Your founding father dug up Jesus plates in America. Don't they believe that? Don't they? They literally believe that Jesus was in North America. Mormons believe that, don't they? They literally believe that. You're insane. You're completely insane. You're insane. You can't say that. You can't say that.
When I was teen, it's fun. Culture is liberal. So when you're younger, you're going to be a part of culture.
Right.
When you're older, you're trying to raise your family. You don't have time to care about what LeBron James said or who did that. Just when you mature, you value what's around you.
What? What does that even have to do with
My name's
conservatism
Sean.
with your older?
I'm 36 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. My dad's kind of my idol. I've seen him.
We know. We can tell from your physiognomy. I'm overusing that term. I should really stop.
Basically build a very successful life, and seeing how simple he's lived his life through prayer and through just basic conservative principles. Being raised up LDS or Mormon, I saw a lot of
basic conservative principles. Yep. Love me prayer. Love raping me wife. Love beating me kids. 8 queers. 8 transes. Love American Jesus. Simple as. I don't know why this one's British. I don't think being a British Mormon would make much sense, but
just judgment, and so I don't necessarily believe that, you know, you have.
Holy shit! God, this guy never even looks left. This guy never even uses his left hand to drive. Holy shit! This guy never takes left turns on roads. He just does a triple right to do this. Jesus fuck! It's the most conservative human. Simple as. Yeah.
Have to be in a religion, but I do believe in prayer. I've been all across the board as far as the way my life has gone, and at my happiest times, I've lived by conservative values.
Building off of what you're saying about like teenagers, we're a different generation, and so we view the world differently, and I think that's probably why you've seen more teenagers be liberal, because we just view the world that way, but I don't think it has anything to do with
No, my generation, I was liberal too when I was a teenager, and all my friends were too. And when you're a teenager, life is fun. It's just totally you kick it.
You ever get the feeling from people who say, yeah, I used to be a liberal, that they're completely fucking lying? You know? Because I've talked to people who used to be liberal or used to be leftist or used to be SJWs, and I don't think I've met a single person yet who actually was, you know? Like, I'd talk with them on their old values, and they would, like, they couldn't give me their old values, you know? I can tell you what my old, when I was like 15 years old, libertarian mindset was. I can recite it to you. I can completely explain it to you. And then why it's wrong. But they can never. They're like, oh yeah, I was a liberal. I thought women. They didn't care about like they didn't think about it. That was their main thing, you know.
So that's what I'm saying. I get the teenage. As you grow, you either can run away from responsibility or embrace responsibility. When there's real things.
It's the woman's fault when the man leaves the child. Andy, personal responsibility. Andy.
Going on, you start looking at life a little different. Versus when I was young, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about corporate gains tax, and I didn't know about my stock account, and I didn't know that I can, all these things that I didn't know when I was a kid.
So when people are generally talking about taxing the rich more, they're talking about the top 400 billionaires that are literally paying a lower effective tax rate in taxes than the middle class. The top 400 billionaires paying an effective tax rate of 8%, that's obviously not a fair share. And I think obviously everyone can agree here that they should be paying at least a fair share, right?
How do you increase taxes on someone's assets, though? Most of those billionaires aren't.
Unrealized capital gains is how they're specifically trying to do it now. But
fucking he had the... Holy shit, he had the answer. He was because the guy was ready. Like, well, it's not the wealth isn't held in their wages. It's in their Oh my God, yes. The unspent capital gains tax should be 110% at the end of the fiscal year. Okay, every single dollar that you have in the stock market, okay, the government takes that and an extra dime each, okay, and then they come to your house and they break your kneecaps. I don't have any stock. I'm fine with this.
But it would be through long-term capital gains, because a lot of the people who are paying those taxes, they're paying capital gains tax rate. There's also tax loopholes that have been lobbied into Congress by big corporations and big businesses lobbying politicians to get whatever they want.
So if you get older and you work yourself off and you become a multimillionaire, you deserve to pay more because other people didn't work as hard as you?
But it's not because other people didn't work as hard as me. It's because we, as a society...
Do you hear him? He said yes. He said yes before this dipshit even finished his sentence, because he's fucking Joseph Joestar, okay? He's Joseph Joestar. And in his head, he was playing the theme, and then I know what you're going to say next, And then he finished that, and then responded before this guy'd even finished. There's actually a simulation of this guy's brain running in the TikTok teen's brain, okay? And it runs faster than this guy's brain does in real time.
Other people didn't work as hard as you?
But it's not because other people didn't work as hard as me. It's because we, as a society, want to give everyone access to things like basic necessities like healthcare, education, have everyone have an equal opportunity. We don't have that right now.
You can have equal opportunity of a baseline, but the outcome would still be different because every individual is going to work different levels,
well,
correct?
Obviously, yeah.
Right, so I think that's where we are as a society. I was able to pull it off. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. I don't have a college degree.
I think that was my high school GPA.
So the only limits are the limits you place on yourself. That's just my perspective.
He got demolished. It's over for that guy. It's over for that guy right now. He had nothing. He had nothing to say at all.
America is the best country in the world.
Oh, say.
I think despite all of our challenges and problems, when you look at all the other countries of the world, everybody is still trying to come here.
The way I can talk out loud, the way I can feel myself, the way I can express myself fully as an individual, it ain't many places black men can go do that outside of America.
I don't know what they mean by that. I'm pretty sure you could go to like France and do that, or Canada, or yeah, like what distinguishes America from like basic other liberal democracies,
3 years ago, when I got into the court systems and the different rights taken away from me and government control and government power. And so
oh no. Oh fucking no. Is this guy a sovereign citizen? Hold on, there's a huge overlap between, I think, Mormons and sovereign citizens. Is he? Or is he a divorce guy? Is he a divorce guy? He might be a divorce guy. He might be a divorce guy.
So when you have that stuff stripped away from you and you realize most other countries don't have the freedom that America has. America has been the greatest country ever, and I think it will continue because of a lot of good people that stand up for the right things.
I think I would like to ask the question, what is America the best at?
I think we just was talking about the freedoms that we have here versus what they don't have in other countries.
So what about places in Scandinavia that actually have higher amounts of freedom? Ooh. They have better democracies than we do here, higher quality of life, higher median income. They have healthcare systems that are more efficient, that take care of everyone in their population, more access to education.
But when
how the fuck does this isn't fair? This isn't fair, dude. You can't. This is like putting fucking Mike Tyson in the ring with like a baby and a chick in a wheelchair. Like this, like I can't. God, it's like bullying. Jesus.
You look at the big picture, everybody wants to come here. Millions of people are not trying to get into Scandinavia.
Why?
Because we have more opportunity than any other place in the world.
We don't even make the top 25 in women equality.
But we have a better opportunity to do something about it.
What's that mean? Yeah, we're more sexist, but we have a better system for fix. What? What does that mean? In terms of the quality and the health of the democracy, and in regards to income mobility, that is to say, how much you have the opportunity to raise or lower your social status based on your merit, based on your behavior, the Scandinavian countries are superior to us. I do appreciate that he didn't deny the sexism thing. I actually think that's quite funny, Like he tried to turn it into a positive, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, we're like incredibly sexist. And he's like, well, that's the great thing about America's can-do spirit, young miss. There's something we can do about it.
compared to other countries. And I would love it for Europe to open their borders the way we have and see if you can get people from other parts of the world to do mass migration to Europe.
Is he aware of the whole thing that happened? Did he miss the... He doesn't know. I don't think he doesn't know. He doesn't know. Oh no, 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 no. All right. Well, as of 2019, about 13.7 million people living in Germany, or about 17% of the population, are first-generation immigrants. 17% of the population was born outside of Germany. As opposed to America, let me see if I can find a comparable statistic here. In 2009, 33 million people in the US were second-generation immigrants, representing 11% of the national population. But what about first generation? Oh, Pew Research. Thank you. Thank you. First generation proportion. 13.5. Wow. In 1970, it was only 4.7. The nothing here reaches the 17% of Germany. Yeah, so if you compare America at any point in the past century to Germany today, at no point have they taken in more immigrants than Germany has, relative to their population, of course. Oh, man. Pigeon's bopping back there. The one kid is literally sub to you, skipped to 4035 and is only Twitch VOD, you're on his sub list? Really?
But everyone go to my stream right now.
Oh, preparing for Jubilee Middle Ground tomorrow. Oh my god.
I feel like I need to watch something that has like a similar platform. So it has to be like a...
Oh, yep, there I am, subscriptions. Hey! I keep saying kid, I'm not trying to be patronizing. Parker's Edgewick. I just don't have a good memory for names. Email me. Do you know how to do email? You know how to do email, right? You should email me. I'd love to have you on.
I was going to mention Scandinavian countries as well, but I think it's also important to address that Scandinavian countries are very homogenous, racially, socioeconomically. They don't face the same geographic diversity that we have. What you were mentioning with the fact that we have the opportunity to write with women inequality, why is that not happening? It's because the way our democracy is set up, our Congress is literally in a gridlock right now, as it has been for so many past sessions of Congress. We aren't getting anything productive done.
The take here is sussy aligned, but I don't think it was intended with any negative.
The opportunity we have here is incredible, and I'm very happy that I live here and not somewhere else, but we are so focused on, oh, America is the best, that we don't look at these other countries and say, why are all those people so happy, and what is that, and how can we incorporate that into our society?
I mean, I'll say, I think
Yeah, the best line here, and this is the line that I think that works best, is, you can believe America is the best. I disagree, but whatever, okay? But don't let believing that get in the way of making America better. Because continuing to make America better is the only way anyone could believe it's currently the best. There are a lot of people out there who will die on this hill. America's the best country ever. Well, if you believed that, you would want to keep improving it, right? Because other countries are trying to improve their shit. It's not you should always be striving for something better.
Diversity is good. I think diversity of thought, diversity of opinion, it's super helpful. It's really easy to get clogged up into this groupthink. So I don't expect anyone else to agree with me or feel the way I feel. I just expect you to respect my right to feel this way. I respect your right to feel this way, and we keep it moving.
100% agree. I couldn't agree more, actually.
Awesome. That's a wrap.
Tap. I was expecting that would make me more angry, but honestly, the kids held frame so fucking hard. I can't even be angry. How am I supposed to be angry? So I was thinking it'd be like, it's watching Jubilee video, 3 millennial gays fighting against 3 extremely homophobic veterans, and I'm thinking fighting. And then I see the thumbnail and they have baseball bats. I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to beat the shit out of those queers. And then I watch the video and all the queers are 7 foot tall JoJo's, extras. It's a very stupid analogy. Anyway, I can't be angry, you know, given the given the outcomes. That was phenomenal. I honestly, seriously, the zoomers held frame like crazy. I know that the editing gave the most time to the blue shirted fella. But I think they all did great job. Yeah, I think they killed it. Yeah, good job. Seriously. Yeah, stuff like that does give me hope. I haven't been doing it as much lately, mostly because my radioactive optics situation means that it's difficult for smaller creators to talk with me without poisoning the well for their own future careers. But I do try to pay some attention to like smaller creators getting into the game, and I have you know, I have a lot of respect for people getting started. The world is getting a lot more political. I don't mean the world itself, but like people's perceptions of it. When I was in high school, I swear to God, people really did not talk about politics that much, you know? But the modern high school kids, I think they are, Christ, they're having debates in their fucking hallways before class these days, you know? There's nothing, I think it would be very aspirational. And this is the reason why I've never, ever minded having a young audience. But the idea of young people, you know, feeling frustrated at the world around them and the bad arguments they hear, and then watching a few of my videos and having the rhetorical tools to deal with that and frame things a bit better, I think that's quite nice. How about you introduce yourself to the fine people who are watching?
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Parker. I'm 19 years old. I go by the pronouns he, him. I consider myself a democratic socialist, but over time, I mean, I had like libertarian socialist beliefs, but over time, I became a democratic socialist. So I still have like some of the same beliefs, but I guarantee we're going to be agreeing on like 99% of things.
Yeah, I forgive you for your transgression, and yes, I imagine that we would. Did it hurt a little bit to have to call yourself a liberal to fit in the Jubilee?
No, it was so bad. It was so bad. I had so many people like swipe up like, "Oh, it's confirmed you're a liberal." I knew it this entire time. But like, no, everyone was like, just jokes. It's completely fine. I think it's funny. I clipped it because you can literally see me like laughing while I called myself a liberal. But
yeah, it's you know, the American liberal. I mean, if you're talking to conservatives, at least, you know, anything beyond liberal, I think it's all the same to them. Like liberal, communist, it all kind of fits in the same umbrella term. So if you call yourself a liberal to them, you might as well be saying you're a socialist.
might as well, actually. But they actually did cut out, like, I literally defined socialism and talked about workplace democracy, but they cut that out of the Jubilee video.
Yeah, I imagine they would. Okay, so we watched the video. Just some random chatter linked it at the start of the stream. And of course, that ended up being, you know, really good. And I honestly, I mean, I think the youth team killed it there. Like pretty much just 100-0. I mean, I don't even really think that was a contest. The editing favored you. Were you the loudest in reality, or did the editors just sort of cut around your contributions mostly?
A bunch of stuff that I added, they did cut out because they wanted to like sort of like, I'm pretty sure, even it out. There was like a big distribution of like who was talking. They had to like ask people to like talk and stuff, that just, you know, like the bureaucratic process of like Jubilee and stuff to like get everyone to talk so it like looks like a equal conversation. So they definitely cut me out like a few times, probably more than they cut out a bunch of other people. But I think I was definitely one of the one that was talking the most out of everyone there. It was kind of just like in real life, it was like me and the teens debating what's it called? What's his name? Johnny? Yeah. That was realistically like the entire time. It was just like that.
Is that the Mormon guy or the black conservative?
The black conservative.
Yeah, he was the loudest of the three. Yeah, okay, I figured.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I did kind of get that feeling, you know. I've noticed often, especially when debating in person. I mean, obviously, if you're debating online, you know, people are there to fight. But if you're doing it in person, I feel like oftentimes a lot of conservatives, especially older ones, will clam up if they're really challenged, you know. Like, if they feel like that there's any unsteady ground, they just kind of get like quiet, you know, and just sort of imply that it's bad decorum to continue talking about this. Did you did you feel that way as well? Like, did you have to push through that a little bit to get at the points?
Yes, I feel like I definitely did because I would challenge people on like their belief systems and like have them kind of explain it, but like people like will kind of it's not like they're answering it like politicians because they're not like doing it deliberately, but like they'd go around the questions and not like necessarily like answer it, which kind of makes it so that like they won't like put it in because like I question them on like a bunch of different things in like relation to like America's the best country in the world. They cut out a bunch of that just because like they didn't really like answer like directly on like script, so they had to like ask everyone to like say on script like a few times or whatnot.
Yeah, I noticed that happen a few times. I think the editors had nothing to work with when the conservatives came over and asked like, is the world getting more dangerous? And they just sat there and one of them said something about China and the other said something about like Twitter TOS or something, like just completely unrelated. But that's what the editors were left with.
Yeah, no, it was bad. No, in person, it was a lot funnier because I'm sitting there like I don't know how people are gonna like interpret it from like outside, but I'm like it seems so crazy when I'm sitting there listening it and to like see everyone else like also agree with that and like see like where I was coming from like when I was there. It's like actually like kind of like brings me back to reality because like some of the shit is just like crazy. They cut out a bunch of like crazy stuff they said as well.
Oh, what was within what you think you can say, you know, what was there any like crazy shit they said that didn't make the cut that you remember?
Right before he said it was a scam, he said that COVID was created by Democrats, like by the party. So like when I was addressing it, I was like, how would like they create like this conspiracy that's like covering like the entire globe and all these scientific communities and institutions? So like they cut out a few like points like that.
Of course they would cut that out. That's the sad thing is that's like the best thing to throw out there. I think look, I don't think Jubilee is that bad of a rag, you know? I don't think they're too partial with their editing, but like the problem you're gonna run into with these, you know, debate the greats segments is that conservatives are fucking insane. So invariably you're going to keep running well, how do we make them seem less unreasonable than they invariably are? You know?
That is true. And like I see in the comments all the time, people are like, oh, they have such a liberal bias. From the way they actually like edited it, they kind of like tried to make like the conservatives seem better than they actually like did in real life. I'm gonna be real, like from my own perspective, that's my own personal opinion, but like from what I interpreted, that's definitely what it sounds like.
Well, you know, reality does have a liberal bias after all, so.
Yeah, definitely, even though I grew up indoctrinated.
Fighting uphill. I did. Oh, I hear an echo. Actually, is there? Am I playing on speaker?
No, that just might be my loud ass speakers. Hold up, on
Impressive.
my headphones.
Strong hardware.
Is it good now?
Yeah, I think it's good now. Thank you.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, thank you. No worries. Yeah. So with the Jubilee stuff, you know, how did they approach you? Because I was approached for a Jubilee thing recently that actually fell through because it was supposed to be against QAnoners, and none of them
get vaccinated.
Were vaccinated. Right? Yeah, exactly. So they actually only told me this after I'd already booked the flight for Los Angeles. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I just had to go down and like spend time with my family, which I mean, I love them, but right, I went there to debate. So I'm just waiting on any update on that, I guess. But like how they approach you, what was the impetus? You know, what was the whole process to actually going there and getting it filmed?
Yeah, so I was like thinking about documenting this, but I just literally got a DM on Instagram one day from one of their like casting people. They said they saw like my TikTok and it kind of fitted like or fit like their thought of like this new idea or new video and like how it's gonna look like. Because my video or said like I have like a conservative parent and then like they popped out like a leftist kid or whatnot. It was here. I'd have to go back to my video, but it was something about like conservative parents and like left-wing kids. So they just hit me up and they had me go through like this casting process where they like asked me like a bunch of questions about like my belief system, things I would ask to conservatives, stuff like that to kind of like gauge like whether they want me in it or not. And they messaged me back like a few weeks later and were like, we definitely want you in it. It was great to hear that. Just come through. We want to make sure you're vaccinated. You have like we'll test you when you get there. Just like things like that. And then I like went there. Like I waited in my car for like a bit. I like went on live and like debated people before, but literally just did the testing. We went on. Like they just like told us like how it was gonna go. Anything that would like we needed to know before. and then like they asked us like the prompts, and they had us like go out there and like really like with no practice, we kind of just like went off like the like just like the beginning. They just like showed us like a prompt and like had us like go out there. It's exactly like how it seems like on the camera.
They just
like,
throw you out into the
Yeah.
the factory, you know. They just
Basically,
they do the
basically.
whole they steam clean you, give you the fresh set of clothes, and they just kick you in there and slam the door shut beforehand or right afterwards.
Basically, I had like no clue how it was going. Like I had no clue like what type of questions I was going to be asked, or like the people I was going to be talking to, or anything like that. But I took a guess of like how the conservative parents would be like, and like what types of like arguments they would make. I'm pretty used to like old conservatives arguments.
Yeah, yeah, they're not the most imaginative bunch too. They do make it a little easy to Joseph Joestar them. I gotta wonder, was this your first like in-person thing? You know, like a real has having done it quell your nerves a bit?
Now definitely like I have a lot less nerves than I did before, but I was super nervous in the beginning, and I think people could probably tell in the video that like I was like super nervous, but like over time, like later in the video, like you could see I got like a lot more comfortable. Same thing goes with like this and like going on live, like general, like when there's like a bunch of people watching, I get nervous like regardless.
Yeah, I get
but
that.
it's like something I've gotten used to over time.
I've never had much of an issue with public speaking, but even with that, you know, the anticipation of something scheduled. For me, it's always scheduling, you know.
Yes, that's very true.
A
Like
large
if it's just out of nowhere, it's so easy, but like
yeah, you're there, you know, but it's the time that it takes to build up the thought of what you're about to do in your head that always makes it worse. So I have a really, really bad memory, but I don't think this is actually the first time that I've seen you. I'm pretty sure that I've been linked to your TikToks before, you know, in a positive light, you know, not to tear into them.
Oh yeah, no, you're completely fine. I would honestly like I like the fact that people like critique my stuff. Like I don't want to be like I don't want to be like living not like fantasy land, but like I want to be able to like see my stuff for like what it is, and not like what people like want to show me like the good side of it, if that makes sense. Like because like we agree on like a bunch of things, so like you just want to be like good faith or whatnot. I like to hear the critiques and like the arguments of like what I could be doing better, and like what I could be progressing on as like a not like just like debater, but just like in my like belief systems.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's really, really important to do that. And you can sort of follow people online when they stop doing that. You know what I mean? Like eventually people hit a lock eventually. I think it gets harder to self-check with time, because the more of an audience you accrue, the more difficult it can become, I think, to distinguish between advice which is in good and bad faith. But at least
100% agree.
At least for now, I mean, you know, I think you've steered well. So you were certainly banging it out there on the debate stage. I don't think you got caught for a second. Honestly, it was like point by point by point.
Yeah, no, I just think it's because I'm really used to it. Like I debate people on my TikTok every single day. Like I'm constantly debating like a bunch of random people. So it's not like I came with like no preparation. I had like a lot of preparation. That, and I've been like doing even like Omegle debates, like just by myself. I would like go on Omegle and like talk to people in like the politics section.
Holy shit!
And, like debate people for hours. I was
Fucking
one of those
Goku
kids.
over here. Jesus Christ. No, I used to do that. So I stopped when I started streaming, of course, because I thought, you know,
Me
as
too.
long as I'm getting paid for this. But no, wow, is that where the debates are happening these days? TikTok. About a year ago,
Yes.
I blew up a little bit on TikTok. Maybe that's what I need to do. I feel like a fucking dinosaur compared to the people over there. You know, I don't want to schedule a debate on some serious topic, you know, and then like the cam turns on, there's a 15-year-old doing a Fortnite dance, and then I lose. I mean, that would just be devastating for me, you know.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like a lot of people will discredit TikTok because like there's a bunch of kids on it, and I don't think that's necessarily like wrong always, but like it's such a great way to like get your word out there just for like anyone, and especially if you like already have a platform, you get sent out so much. The views on TikTok are like 10, 15 times that of like YouTube. They allow you to like kind of just like get your message out there, so you can get like more followers and more viewers like on even like YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard you know, I've heard people speak of the miracles of the platform. I actually wanted to talk about that because the last time I did any foray into TikTok, I did notice like it seems like the people there, even the conservatives, and I do generally think conservatives are dimmer, you know, but they were on it, like way more so than their YouTube contemporaries. I've debated a good run of the YouTube conservatives, and I think most of them are honestly quite thick, you know? Like, it's not like, I mean, even the brighter ones, I think, are just breaking parity, you know, like just rising above the surface. But when I saw some of these conservatives on TikTok, like these kids, their arguments were way more salient. Wrong, sure, but more difficult debate opponents. I think I think you guys are getting faster. I don't know what's happening, but it's a little bit worrying.
Honestly, I think that's kind of true. I've met like a lot of really smart people, not just on like the left side, but like on the right side. Even though like a lot of their conclusions I think are wrong, I think that they're a lot smarter than like people give them credit for. And like I don't know if it's a product of like this new generation, the fact that we're on the internet like chronically. Like I'm chronically online. I know a bunch of people on the internet like or like on TikTok are chronically online as well. It's just we have a lot more access to information. We kind of can decode what's misinformation and what's not, and sort of analyze that from like a outside perspective instead of just adopting like establishment point of views because we only listen to like mainstream media or whatnot.
Okay, this is one of the things that I really wanted to talk about. Okay. When I went to high school, and this is not that I'm 27, okay? This is not that long ago. I graduated in 2011, so I started in 2007. When I was in high school, nobody talked politics, all right? And from what I understand, in that generation, that was a pretty common experience across the board, you know. It wasn't completely not talked about, you know. I know that we were in the later Bush era to the early Obama era, so it wasn't, you know, there wasn't that much landmark shit taking place from the perspective of your average person, I think. But these conversations just did not come up. But now I hear from my viewers, you know, these stories. They'll talk about how like they're in their sophomore high school class and they were talking about like trans bathroom bills, or like they were in the hallway talking about like Strasserism with like the other people. And I'm thinking like, what the fuck are you doing? Is that you're 19, right?
Yes, I'm 19.
Is this real?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like the same thing for like when I was in high school. Not many people really talked about it. It was like just starting to come about. I think it kind of just like started happening after 2016. Is when like politics like started going like a lot more like mainstream for like people caring about it on like an everyday sort of basis. I knew like the YouTube platform for politics and like generally any social media for politics was like way less than it is now. I think it's exploded in the past few years or so. And I know that's relative to like election years or whatnot. And we're like in off time now, but even on an off time now, we're seeing like view counts that are probably like double, triple, quadruple what they were back then. Like the community is just so much larger. I think it's because people are just more involved in politics now. I think like they care more about it. Like I don't know what it was realistically, but that's just what it seems like from at least my point of view.
Yeah, it's it's horrifying, I think, actually, if you think about it. I don't know, maybe this could just be my ancient brain not moving with the times. I feel like there was almost something kind of naively special about getting to not participate in politics for a bit, you know, in an active sense. You know, obviously that's a privileged perspective. If you're like some inner city black kid, there are political elements that are going to be introduced to you, whether or not you like it, very early in life. But holistically, I don't think like your average inner city black kid in 2007 was debating Strasserism at school. You know, it was more of a lived experience kind of stuff. You know, but now it seems holistic. I don't know. Do you feel like, honest perspective, you'd know more than me. Do you feel like this is a problem or a good thing? I genuinely don't know.
It's a really, really good question because a lot of people that have come into like the political sphere, they're kind of just in it for like the social recognition and not necessarily like to fundamentally change policy. It's more of like an entertainment thing than it is like a actually change like how our economy or how our political system like functions inherently. So I don't think it's necessarily like people take it like as seriously as I would like them to, but having more people like looking into it, I do think is more beneficial. And the fact that there are more people that we can like sort of get to listen to these things and be surrounded by these ideas. Because then people are more inclined to like listen to them further. Like I wasn't really into politics before. I didn't like politics. I grew up in a conservative household where we were told like literally not to talk about politics. So like just over time, like being around this type of stuff kind of got me to see that I like talking about these things, and I think that they're extremely important. And I think that everyone should talk about them. And if I wasn't around, I don't think I would have been able to make that conclusion.
Okay, I get that. There are people, sometimes myself even, who worry that, you know, children being heavily involved in politics from the get-go will make politics more unserious. But then you can look around and look at Sarah Palin, Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump, Alex Jones. It's not like it was serious beforehand. It's not.
I
You know,
agree.
yeah, it's if people say, you know, like the irrationality of children. Well, I've debated adults, and they are astoundingly stupid. So, you know, arguably, I think quite a bit
I
more
agree.
so. You like when you bring boomers on, I mean, it's not just the bad ideas. I think it's the just the complete unwillingness to hear out any kind of opposition, which, you know, contributes, I think, to stupid positions in the long run.
100%. I agree. That's what I've seen with the conservatives a lot, is that they're so set in their beliefs, especially if they're older, because they're on the internet. They're interacting with people generally younger than them. So just because they think that they're like older, they think that they can't be wrong, and they're so set in their belief systems that they'll never like change or move. So, yeah, I've generally seen that like kids, at least my age, have more of an ability to change their opinions on these type of topics if they have the correct information in front of them. When I make these arguments to older conservatives, absolutely no ground is ever moved. But like when I talk to like younger people all the time, I get people to change their minds. So I think the younger generation's a lot more accepting of new ideas.
You might have changed a
At
few
least on TikTok.
minds. Yeah, yeah. You might have changed a few minds in that video as well. I mean, you know,
I
it's a good
hope.
performance. That video is probably going to get somewhere between 1 and 2 million views before its count stabilizes, you know. So you're going to reach quite a few people with that. I think that your perspective will resonate, you know, pretty strongly with some of those people, because Jubilee does, I think, have a very mixed audience. You know, I don't think that they're heavily slanted one way or another. Maybe more liberal than conservative. I mean, you know, maybe sort of
Probably a little bit, maybe.
a little more progressive, a little more
Yeah.
liberal, but still not too much so. So I think a lot of people will be reached by that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad we both agree on that. I was did I say I didn't have anything to follow that up with. I
Me either.
honestly, well, I'm kind of for a lost, honestly. You know, I normally when I bring people on, it's because I disagree with them. You know,
Yeah,
and when
I know.
when
And
I
it's like these conversations where you disagree, you're kind of just talking about like how you agree. It's kind of like I understand from your point of view, it's like kind of like your conversation with like Kyle Kalinske or like other like leftists. It's sort of just like an appreciation, like oh, I like that you do this, I like that you do the same
right,
thing. And then
right,
it's like
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of over, and it doesn't really like change anything in people's minds.
And Kyle Kalinske, of
Real
course, you
soon.
know, you don't have tweets from 2011 about any particular racial groups and whether or not they crave food at the moment. You know, whereas he did.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So
Yeah,
right,
no,
yeah.
I was not even on Twitter. I didn't even know what Twitter was, realistically.
2000, you would have 9 back then.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
I
yeah,
was incoherent. Like,
there are 9-year-olds on Twitter now. I'm sure, probably. You know, probably thousands. Just
I was
anonymously.
playing Pokemon until I was like 14, so I was behind that.
There are worse games to play while growing up. Okay, with so the Jubilee has been done. You've conquered that challenge. Actually, I'm meant to ask, did you know either of the other 2 younger people incidentally? When you met them, you were like, oh, you know, I knew about you.
No, I didn't know about anyone like on Jubilee. We like exchanged Instagrams after, but that's really it. I haven't had like any conversations outside of that with any of them.
Gotcha. I didn't know if they were like also on TikTok, and my audience just wasn't as familiar with them.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen them on TikTok either. I think they're just on like on Instagram.
Do you have any plans with what to do moving forward? I mean, obviously you have your TikTok, but do you have any intentions of expanding that or capitalizing on other opportunities in the near future?
Oh, I would love to do YouTube. Like the type of stuff like streaming, that's like what I would like most want to do. I feel like that's the like sort of like not industry, but like sector I would do the best in. Like I'm better at like conversations like right off the top of the head instead of like a like like fully on like how do I explain this? Like I research a topic like extremely hard and then like make a really extensive video about like an educational topic. I feel like I'm better at like reacting to like points off the top or like quickly. That's the best. That's what I like am most successful at. So like streaming is what I've always liked, at least on TikTok and stuff. But it would be like a dream to do something like that, but that's just not something that's like really viable, like without like a platform.
Well, maybe it can become viable, you know. In spite of my apparent toxicity to Twitch's moderation team, you know, I've managed to make it work for myself decently well. And you're clearly good at it. I mean, obviously you have the abilities. So if it ever becomes viable, you should give it a shot. I don't know what the relative engagement is between TikTok and YouTube. I don't know how much crossover there is. So logistically, I don't know how much of a initial bump you'd have to overcome.
Yeah, just like I used to do like YouTube when I was a kid, which when I was a kid I was making like way worse content. But like when you're first starting out, like it doesn't get sent out like to For You pages like TikTok does. So you can just post like any random video on TikTok and it could have the chance to like blow up. It doesn't really have like the same sort of thing on YouTube. I know that like there are some people that can post videos like that and it does blow up, but it's like way harder. So it's a lot easier to like maybe like take a platform and like transition over rather than just like starting completely on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. It's whenever I look at through a TikTok page, which I do quite infrequently. Usually it's like satisfying videos or something like that. But when I do, it is almost guaranteed that they'll have, you know, 5 videos with a normal number of views, then one with 10 times as many. And then it'll repeat that consistently. Whereas on YouTube, the going viral for a video, that's like a rare phenomena that people will literally like bank their entire YouTube channel on in the hopes that this 4-month project will hitch the algorithm right, and it very often doesn't, you know. So definitely a much less likely to go you know, hit it big on YouTube. Maybe TikTok is the better platform. Sheesh.
I 100% agree. I think doing TikTok and YouTube at the same time, just taking like clips from like your stream, like not to give you like advice or anything, but like taking like clips from stream to like a different degree could 100% boost your content like 4 to 5 times what you currently have. Like I know you post videos like already on TikTok to a certain degree, but if you took it like a little more serious and like doing like that, like the amount of viewage is absolutely insane, and your arguments would 100% resonate with like 99% of people on TikTok.
We did have a good run with that for a while. The main issue is that we got fucking shadow banned on TikTok like 3 times.
Yes, it does that a lot. It does that a lot.
Because
I think it's to do with like the resolution on some types of videos. I found that like if you post it directly from like a mobile device, it like hits the algorithm better, which is really weird.
Really? Okay, I'll look into that. I assumed it was because people hate me and were mass reporting me, and thus, you know, gumming up my channel in the works. I guess both of those are possible. I'll look.
That probably would
that.
Send it out a little more. I don't know why TikTok's like algorithm kind of likes that, but like when you get reported, it will send you out more unless you get like banned. If you get like banned or get like a community guidelines violation, then they'll like literally like stop sending out your videos for like a bit.
Okay. Okay. I'll look into that then. All right. Look, I'm to grow from this conversation, I guess. I was really heartened by the, you know, by the Jubilee performance, and I don't want to speak ill, by the way. I think the other two, I want to say kids, you're like 8 years younger than me. The other 2 younger liberals.
I mean, we still are kind of kids.
Right.
Like I'm gonna be real, even from my point of view. I think I'm still a kid, even though I'm 19.
People are kids till they're 25, as far as I'm concerned. That's the modern cutoff. But I think you all did wonderfully. But you know, I'm always really happy to see what you said. You know, that you enjoy the live reactions, because now this I think may be foreign to you now because of when you grew up. But when I was getting into YouTube and online media, you know, the left was just incredibly weak. In the sense that there was no impetus or drive to directly and aggressively confront talking points. The left was mostly relegated to like feminist critique channels that would post, you know, 25-minute videos once every month with middling views, where they would sort of, you know, it was all very hugboxy. And there's nothing wrong with that inherently, but there was no sort of, I think, like vanguard of people who would just fucking argue, you know, which is a shame, because our arguments are easier to make. Really, we have the
They're
upper
way
hand.
better, realistically.
They're
like
really good.
It's
Yeah.
really hard for conservatives to make arguments against like our positions, and that's exactly why like a bunch of like, well, me specifically, like people who are like libertarian-esque, not really like into politics, end up turning out to be leftists, because then they look into politics and they realize all of the arguments that or all like the moral positions that they have are actually like emboldened by like leftist values instead of like conservative values.
Yeah, well, I genuinely think that most people's intuitively held axiomatic principles are ones which resonate really well with leftism. Most people have a fundamental desire for equality and justice. Now, this isn't intrinsic or anything, but a lot of people seem to like this across cultures and time periods. And I think that, and fairness. And I think that leftism does a much better job of fulfilling these values than conservatism ever could. But if you get locked into some of those misconceptions early on, heavy policing is fair because criminals get what they deserve, drug addicts die, well, that's their fault, etc. There are ways that those intuitions can be polluted. But if you just get the ball rolling early on, I mean, you can have a lifetime of really committed leftist argumentation. So yeah, I'm heartened by that,
Yeah, actually, like it's good to see so many people on the internet now that actually like agree with these positions. Like, I know that the leftist community was so much smaller before 2016, before Bernie, and it's crazy to see like how much it's actually like improved since then. And I do think that like a lot of these roles that needed to be filled inside of like the leftist movement are beginning to be filled by a lot of younger people, especially because young people have been moved by the leftist movement a lot more than any older generations could because of propaganda, like Cold War propaganda. So,
regarding that, how do you feel about your generation, sort of political affect wise? The impression I always got from me and mine when I grew up and when I graduated was that there was this kind of, milquetoast libertarian anti-government sentiment and weak but still somewhat committal progressivism, and that was the general feel that I got, from when I graduated from my contemporaries. What about you? I know people are more radical now when they're young. Is there this hard line between like the leftists and the, I don't know, the fascists, but without saying it, in all these high schools, like they have little food fights over the, whether or not the Holocaust happened?
I don't think it, depending on like what groups you're in, I don't think it's really like talked about that much, at least from the high school like I was in like around that. The high school I went to was extremely liberal, and everyone kind of disagreed with the same thing. There was like that one or two conservative kids. I was one of those kids in middle school, sadly. But yeah, my general view, at least from like the perspective that I've had, is it's either like progressive on the left or like progressive, either straight moderate Dem, or it's like Trump supporter. There's not really like that much in between anymore. It's kind of people are like really set on like specific beliefs. Either like it's not like they're in between progressive and moderate Dem. It's like they're just moderate Dem. Mm-hmm. Like if they're like younger. There's not as much like in between that as I see with like older adults where they're like in between like conservatism.
Centrism
and, like,
really
liberalism.
does seem to be dying out. I'd say that much. Which fuck good.
Yeah,
oh my
I
god.
agree.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Jesus. So at least you don't have to put up with as much of that as I did. I really do appreciate you coming on. I had one other thing that I wanted to ask about with regards to your conservative upbringing. Mm-hmm. What was the impetus that moved you or started to get you moving more towards the left? What happened there?
So in my senior year of high school, I started like looking into the Democratic primaries, and originally I was taken by like the UBI argument and Yang. A lot of those like when he started talking like about automation, that really somehow like resonated with me.
Oh God, you mean the past election, don't you?
Yes, this literal past election.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. Continue.
I know, right? That's actually like crazy, but well, like I was looking into it in like 2019, but that was like my senior year of high school. I know I sound young. I know.
No,
but,
it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm very deliberately aging myself here. That's on me. Anyway, continue.
Where was I at? What was I talking about again? I was talking
Yang
about like
Gang
my upbringing.
graduation.
Oh yeah, yeah. So like I liked a lot of Yang's arguments. And I was just like part of like the Yang Gang for like a cool like few months or so. Completely like didn't even like listen to Bernie until like the end of the primaries, I would say. And when I started like looking into Bernie and realizing that like wait, Bernie's literally like a fucking centrist, like compared to like a bunch of different European countries, and like Europeans' perspective on like politics really like changed how I view like American politics, instead of just like viewing it from like a like a left wing are like the liberals here and then right wing are the conservatives here. It's both fucking parties are conservative, and like even people like Bernie are still like the policies that they support are still like center of the aisle for like the political spectrum. So it was kind of realizing that like these views aren't radical, and they're actually like very very logical. Because like before it's just like it's sort of demonized, like it's crazy, you can't even like look into this, it's so crazy. But then when you start looking into it, it's the most logical thing, like most logical arguments that you could possibly make.
Yeah, well, I think one of the worst things that ever happened to the semantics of discourse is when radical and impractical became associated. Radical is always relative to the perspective of the time. Democracy would have been radical in 14th century
Exactly.
France. So would, women's suffrage. I mean, just radical ideas. I mean, this is very much dependent. If an idea is radical, that says as much about the society that it's in as it does about the idea itself. You should talk about whether or not these ideas are good. And I think often, that is the line used to demark people like Bernie Sanders or people more to his left, or even less to his left, honestly.
Yeah.
Radical ideas. Well, again, that doesn't mean anything on its own. That has absolutely no bearing on the worth of the idea. It's just sort of implicit condemnation of the system as it stands, which, again, is kind of sad, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And like even if you go on like the like radical, it's just like at this point it's been so devalued, like the term radical, and like in relation to politics, because even people like on the far right will call people like fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene like communists and shit. Like it's like at some point like everyone will get demonized for being radical if they believe in like bettering the system.
I can only wish that as many people were communists as Republicans seem to think is the case. That would be a much better
I wish we lived in that reality. Like actually, like imagine if our entire system was run by communists. That'd be incredible.
Inshallah. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on here. Especially, following that performance, I hope you get the opportunity to branch out and yell at more people soon. Very valuable, very valuable.
I would love to.
In-demand skill. Please aggressively shout yourself out to anyone watching, of which there are several.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, y'all. My TikTok is at Parker Sedgwick, ParkerSedgwick. It's just my full name. Same thing with all my other socials. I have all the same name for all of them. So if you do want to follow me, make sure to do that. I go live every single day from around 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I just debate a bunch of dumbass conservatives. That's basically it. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. Well, good luck with all that. I will look into this strange and arcane problem you describe with TikTok, YouTube resolution uploads. You have a wonderful day.
Will.
Okay?
You have a great day as well.
Bye-bye. There you go, chat. Positivity beyond belief. There we go. Today we hopium. No copium. Only hopium.